I was having y'all, your boy Rico from Street Scores, and did Super Bowl winning Washington quarterback Joe Theismann just leak the official name? Is Commanders confirmed? We're going to discuss that, and also, of course, we have to discuss all of the clues and leaks that have gone down so far. This is going to be an overall outline and guide for everything you need to know to catch you up on what the name may end up being. Is it really Commanders? Are all of these just smoke screens? We even have to talk about how the players feel about this. Ex-players and current players feel about the jerseys, the name, and all of that type of stuff. Any information that we know so far is going to be covered in this video. Hopefully we can come up with a reasonable answer by the end of this video. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscription button so you get a notification immediately. And every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one, I will be live streaming my reaction to the new name, logo, jerseys, the entire new brand and identity. So make sure y'all pull up to that live stream. I'll also open up the phone lines for y'all to call in and give y'all opinions on how the jerseys and everything look as well. So stay tuned for all of that. Definitely mark it on your calendars. I will also be live streaming the Senior Bowl as well. So make sure y'all pull up for both of those very entertaining live streams. And without further ado, let's get it. Alright, so first of all, earlier today, Joe Theismann appeared on the Damon Amendola show on CBS Sports Radio, and it seems like he may have leaked the new name. I don't know why he would go on radio and say it. That is why I think this may be just a big smoke screen to stir up more controversy and more publicity and get people talking and clicking more, revolving around the name, building up more hype and things like that, because this was just too obvious. I mean, you have certain players like John Bates who honestly has no idea what the name is yet. There's only like a very few select key people that already know what the new name is going to be and all of that type of stuff. And so Joe Theismann is important to this organization, but the likelihood of him being one of those guys, first of all, is already slim. But then on top of all of that, the fact that he just blatantly came out and said this. I mean, quote, "I think the Commanders is a name that is going to be hopefully one that people will talk about going forward," unquote. And then Theismann was asked if he liked the new name. And then he said, quote, "I mean, there were so many different options, but once again, you know, it's trademark infringement. It's getting approval from different people. It's, you know, if you choose a name, is there a group out there that isn't going to like it? I mean, there's so many things that you have to consider. Commander basically is Washington, D.C. A lot of commanders in Washington, D.C. and the Pentagon and a lot of different branches of the service. And so to me, that's sort of the way I'm looking at it as a positions of leadership when it comes to the naming," unquote. I mean, to blatantly literally just come out and say the word Commanders more than once in a radio interview right before they debut it. I mean, there's just no way Joe Theismann has no common sense. Like, this right here made me believe it's less likely to be Commanders than any other name. At this point, we're more likely to be that itchy spider's name that somebody pretended to leak a couple of weeks ago, because there's no way he just went out there and ruined the unveiling like this, just solo dolo, just went out there and just on a random radio show just let everybody know what the name was after all of this built up hype for the past couple of years, and them doing a, you know, fairly decent job of trying to keep everything low key. I think a lot of these clues that we're going to discuss in this video are just mostly smoke screens, but who knows? Maybe it's reverse psychology. Maybe it's a smoke screen and it's actually the name, and just because they threw out so many different names and it looks like they failed to hold everything in and allowed things to leak out, that maybe now Commanders actually is the name. And with us being intelligent human beings assuming that it won't be Commanders because there's no way they messed this up this bad, maybe it actually is, who knows? But another really important piece of evidence to why this may actually end up being the Commanders is because, remember last week, Commanders.com was finally transferred to an internet hosting company that has a deep relationship with the NFL, and it's already hosting 25 of the league's 32 official team websites. But who knows if that was a smoke screen as well, if they're just leaking things out on purpose for us to find out because they know we're looking. But let's back it up. Let's go ahead and take it from the top. First of all, for those of y'all who may not know, the name and everything, jerseys, new identity, all of that will be unveiled on the Today Show February 2nd. It's also really interesting too because, first of all, it's on Groundhog Day, so that has a lot of people thinking that the name is going to have something to deal with groundhogs or hogs, maybe like red hogs, as a tribute to the dominant offensive line that we had while we were winning Super Bowls. And then it's also interesting that the date is February 2nd, 2022. So the whole way across is just 2-2-2-2. And then we also scored 22 points to end the season against the Giants. And in no particular order, just going through all of the clues and evidence that we have so far. Again, some of these may be smoke screens. They may just be a way to get us off of their real trail. The name may already be leaked out there as the many options that we've been presented, and maybe they're just using all these other names, maybe even including Commanders, as a smoke screen to what the real name already is, because it's already been put out there and they're trying to deflect as much as they can. But also, Chase Young hates the name Commanders. I mean, he was on video. This is before they probably revealed to him what the name was, and definitely before they showed him the jerseys, and we're going to talk about that reveal later and how much Chase Young actually does like the jerseys. But he hates the name Commanders. In that virtual interview that he had, he hated the name Brigade, he hated the name Commanders, he pretty much hated all of the names, but he basically just said that Red Wolves was the only name he didn't hate. He doesn't like it, but he was like, at least it's the only one that's alright out of the group. He hated everything else, including Commanders, and that's potentially your face of your franchise, but we'll see. Also, this whole attendance situation is going to be really interesting. I mean, FedEx Field attendance was 31,000 against the Eagles when we played them most recently, right before the Giants game, which was the final game of the season. And it was like easily 70% or more Eagles fans there. So if they don't get this name thing right, and especially if they don't get quarterback right, week 1 attendance may get really ugly. It may be even worse than that, because fans are just going to lose hope. If they get the name wrong, if we don't at least look like we tried to get a franchise quarterback, if we don't at least take a big swing at it, whether it be through free agency, trade, or draft, if we just end up bringing in a placeholder, a transition guy, week 1 attendance is going to be even worse than that Eagles game. At the end of the day, no matter what the name is, honestly, no matter what the jerseys look like, none of it's going to matter if we don't go out there and win games. And getting a franchise quarterback is a big component to that. So for real, none of this matters unless we go out there and win games with whatever the new name is going to be anyway. Even if the name is terrible, if we're winning games, we're going to hate it less. The new name can be the greatest thing ever, but if we go out there and keep losing, if we don't have an answer at quarterback, it's never going to really matter. But still, the name is definitely going to have a large impact on week 1 attendance, at least for this upcoming season. I feel like quarterback is going to be the leading factor in what our week 1 attendance looks like, but the name, jerseys, identity, all of that will also be factored in as well. I mean, that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for a lot of fans. I mean, our attendance this year averaged 52,751, which is only 64.3% capacity. And a lot of that is, first of all, due to losing. Second would probably be the lack of franchise quarterback. And third is definitely the identity change from Redskins to Washington Football Team. So hopefully they get this next name right, because I don't know how Dan Snyder's going to be able to sell tickets. He's going to have to start paying people to come to games. But as y'all remember, I already did an entire video breaking down the jersey leaks that they did, like on purpose. The making the brand video where they showed us very close snapshots of the jerseys. In one of them, you see the number 17, so you can kind of get a look at the font. Overall, you could definitely see what the colors are. I love the colors. I love the shade of burgundy. I love the shade of gold. I hated how we looked even before we changed to the Washington Football Team, how we were more of a red and like kind of yellow. I love this deeper burgundy that we switched to when we became the Washington Football Team. And I also like this burgundy even better than that, because it's a little bit brighter, but again, it's not red and yellow like we used to be. I mean, RG3's rookie season was great, but those colors, I hated those colors. The Kirk Cousins era, I did not like that shade of red and yellow. This is like an actual burgundy and gold. But again, you can see the font kinda in the 17. You can see the 3 stars somewhere within the collar. With the logo, you can kind of make out through the jersey. We're looking at the jersey from the inside in that top right picture. Then on the left, you can see the stripes on the sleeve. And then at the bottom right, you can see the stripe on the helmet, but they don't give you much more than that. And then somebody with some talent took a Terry McLaurin picture and tried to do a projection of what the jerseys may look like and put them on Terry McLaurin. I'm straight with those. I would have preferred something better, but this is cool. If this is what the jerseys end up looking like, I'm not mad, especially if I like the name and the logo, but we'll see. But whoever did this mock jersey thing, I mean, shouts out to you, man. Hey, you went crazy. I mean, this looks so realistic, and it literally looks like that this is what it could possibly be based on those pictures. Speaking of the making the brand video, I am really happy that Doug Williams is so heavily involved, because first of all, people always keep trying him and acting like he's just there just to be there, like he doesn't actually do anything. He's just getting moved from office to office. office every year. I like the fact that he's actually heavily involved in this, and mostly because he's the only one in our entire building right now that even knows what it feels like to win a Super Bowl. So if anything, he brings that value with him. Also, beyond what I already pointed out in my video breaking down that Making the Brand video a few weeks ago, if you look in the background, the trees were green. So whatever happened in that Making the Brand video where they were showing Ron Rivera, you had the reflection behind them with the W logo and all of that type of stuff, pretty much all of it. That video was made way back before the trees started dying, before they even started turning brown, yellow, orange, and all of that type of stuff. So that was really interesting, because that just made it seem like, oh, they already know what the name is, and whatever we tried to do with Red Wolves, and they claimed that they actually took what we wanted into serious consideration, it doesn't seem like it when they did the polls fairly recently. But this Making the Brand video that shows that they've pretty much already decided what the brand is going to be, the jerseys, logo, helmet, all of that type of stuff, and the trees are still green in the background. That means it happened many months ago, maybe even back like in August. Also, which is really interesting for the name Commanders, there are other 3-syllable teams in the NFL. I mean, you got the Buccaneers, you have the Cardinals, the Jaguars, the Patriots, but all of those teams can actually come up with a legitimate 1-syllable nickname. With the Jaguars, you have the Jags. With the Cardinals, you have the Cards. Buccaneers, Bucks. Patriots, Pats. But what do you do with Commanders? Are we going to be called the Durs? Because I'm almost sure that we're not going to go by the Coms. The only way I can see Coms working out in any type of positive light is just Coms is normally like call outs and stuff. You want to know where the enemy is, I guess. That's the only even kind of positive way I can spin Coms. But that just sounds like people are going to turn it into commies. I mean, we're going to be called the Mans. We're going to be called the Durs. Like, that is just, I don't know how that would work. I mean, I don't think the Washington football team organization, Jason Wright and all of those guys, are taking our nickname into strong consideration as one of the factors that may end up deciding what our name ends up being. But like, that's gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie. Commanders, how do you nickname that? The C's? The Commands? That's still 2 syllables, and that's not even 5. It's not even 5 enough to be worth saying 2 syllables. I'm gonna just end up continuously calling them Burgundy and Gold if Commanders ends up really being our name. Also, to people that feel like changing the name wipes away history, no team who's had a major identity or name change has forgotten their old history. Like, Houston Texans fans do not forget about Earl Campbell just because they became the Texans. A name change does not make you forget what has happened. I think honestly it's pretty cool because now our Super Bowls are with the Redskins. So when we refer to the Redskins, they sound like Super Bowl winners. And now we have to go make our new identity. We have to go out there and win games and form a whole new bond to a new name. I actually kind of like it. It feels like another chapter in our history. Also, on top of that, and I've said this many times before, but I feel like it should also be included in this video, that you can sell a quarterback on being the face of a new rebrand, a new franchise, technically, even though we're not relocating. Our stadium may end up relocating in the next few years, but like overall, the organization isn't moving from DC to like a completely different area of the United States, a whole different region or something. But still, it's a new rebranding. Just imagine you go to Aaron Rodgers or Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, any of those guys and say, hey, you can be the face of a new rebranding. You can be the first face of the, say for example, Commanders franchise, and nobody can take that away from you, especially for somebody like Aaron Rodgers, who technically was always in the footsteps of Brett Favre. He's never in the history of Packerdom going to be like the sole face of the Packers. I mean, they won so much even before Brett Favre got there. They already have such a rich history, and who knows, maybe somebody with an ego like Aaron Rodgers, the idea of being the first face and the only face of a new name, new logo, all of that may actually be pretty intriguing. And I feel like that can help us entice one of those guys. And now also looking at how the logo may have been leaked, that picture that I have in this video where you can see it in Jason Wright's armchair, you can even see the name in his lap. And again, is this a smoke screen or was this negligence? Because in the Making the Brand video, they blurred all of this out that you can currently see in this picture. But when NBC Sports Washington was given the footage, it wasn't blurred out. So it seems like it could possibly be Commanders for real. And then the circular logo, like I've already mentioned, really matches up with that circular shape from the inside of the jersey, from the inside of the collar. And then later on, there was apparently some leak about the Washington DC Football Commanders, and they had the whole circular logo, and somebody actually made a clearer picture of what Jason Wright had on his left armchair, and it says the People's Team at the bottom. And I think that's pretty funny because we were 32nd in NFL attendance this year, so to rebrand ourselves as the People's Team is pretty funny. But who knows, maybe they'll recapture that People's Team element when we get a franchise quarterback and most importantly start winning games. And then also, I mean, there was even like a picture where it was showing the different names of different NFL teams. You can see the Ers in Commanders. Again, I don't know if that was on purpose as a smoke screen, but we'll see. But we got to take it back even further, because at some point the Washington organization said that they want, quote, a sense of aggression, of boldness and edginess with their new name, unquote. They also said we are a strong fan base that is proud, that isn't soft, that we like to think of ourselves as a little bit rough around the edges, which makes me think that our name may end up being something aggressive. Like they want a name that somewhat strikes fear, that has a tough tone to it. And I'm not exactly sure if Commanders fits that. I mean, I guess it does with this similarity to the word leaders. It does have a semi-aggressive connotation to it, so maybe Commanders is still in the running with that detail. But they've also said that they wanted to carry a rich history. They wanted to represent the region. They wanted to feel like the fans were included in the decision. Of course, there will be no Native American imagery. It will not be the Washington Football Team again. So we'll see what they end up coming up with off of those traits. Technically, Commanders does fit all of those in a way. I don't think it necessarily fits the fan inclusion part of it, but we'll see. Also, JP Finlay said that he heard that the Washington will have a black alternative uniform, and I'm really excited about that. A black uniform has me super excited, even if the name ends up being something I don't like. And honestly, I mean, y'all know me, man. It was Red Wolves or nothing. At this point, if it's not Red Wolves, I don't really care. I've already explained my reasoning for that. Long story short, I've always loved Wolves, even playing NCAA back in the day before Red Wolves was even a thing. I've always named my team something Wolves. It wouldn't even be Washington. Again, I was doing college football, NCAA, the EA game that got canceled, and hopefully they're bringing it back. Even back then when I did the team builder, and you can even build your rosters and all of that, and then you can recruit, have the whole full college football experience. I've always been the Wolves. Even back playing Madden with Ray Lewis on the cover and things like that, I've always wanted a team name with the Wolves. So that's why I was big on Red Wolves. So after that, I mean, I don't really care what the name ends up being. Commanders, I don't particularly like it, but if it comes with a black alternate jersey, I'll take it. As long as the jerseys are fire, I'm good. Because again, at the end of the day, the most important thing is winning. But now let's get to some player reviews, starting with former Washington Football Team player Charles Mann. He went on the radio and basically just hated the new name. He literally said he, quote, hates it, unquote. I mean, he even went on to say that the Washington organization, including Jason Wright and all of those guys, presented 3 name finalists to them, to former players and people really close to the organization, and he said that the focus group hated all 3. So we'll see, man. Whatever the name is, if it is Commanders, apparently Charles Mann and a group of people that are close enough to the organization for them to feel like that they could leak it to them, the last 3 name candidates that were possible, and apparently they hated all 3. So that's pretty funny. But in positive news, there's like a short clip of Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, and Terry McLaurin getting a chance to see the new jerseys. And Jonathan Allen said, quote, the jerseys look phenomenal. Everything works. I think the fans are going to love them, unquote. Chase Young, who's actually been really critical of all of the name ideas and things like that, he said, quote, they're tough, I ain't gonna fake, unquote, when looking at the new uniforms. Who knows if they paid him to say that, but I mean, so far he's been giving his brutal, honest opinion on anything revolving around a new name, new logo, new identity. So if he's telling the truth, if he wasn't paid to say that, then I'm very optimistic about the jerseys looking nice, because again, Chase Young hated the names, but he really likes the jerseys. And in the video, you have Jonathan Allen saying, oh yeah, as soon as he walked in. Chase Young, as soon as he walked in, said that's hard. Terry McLaurin, taking a closer look, says, I like that design right there. Chase Young says these joints right here are tough. Jonathan Allen one more time says, I love it. Chase Young said, y'all took this opportunity and went crazy. But then after all of that, All Pro Analytics, and who knows how trustworthy they are, but they tweeted out, just heard from a reliable source in Washington, the name is not Commanders. Also said name is flying under the radar. So we'll see, man. I don't know how much to believe that at all. Honestly, don't have any belief in that, but we'll see, because hopefully he's right. The only reason I have even a slight belief is because I hope he's right. I'm still holding out hope for anything dealing with wolves, honestly, even though I highly doubt it though. But who knows what's honestly real? Because again, I believe a lot of this stuff is intentional smoke screens, because after whatever the name is gonna end up being after that potentially leaked and they didn't mean for it to leak, maybe they went out there and confirmed more names so that you don't know exactly which name is confirmed. If they leak several names, how do you know which leak is the actual name? So maybe the name already leaked, maybe we do actually already know what the name is, like we've already seen it, we've heard it, but then they had to throw up all of these smoke screens and had to purposely leak other names to distract us from the name that it actually is, because it's already been leaked and they didn't want us to know. I really do feel like it's going to be fairly underwhelming on February 2nd, because I do feel like it's going to be a name we've already heard and seen. It's just going to be one of the many names that have leaked over the last couple of years. But overall, let's go all the way back and just do a quick summary real quick before we get up out of here. Thanks to Chad Ryan for organizing this. Remember back in November, the first official noteworthy leak, even though I don't believe it at all, but somebody went on Facebook to say that they have a friend that works at New Era, somebody that works really high up in the company, and that they were mass producing Washington Commander hats and no other hats with names for Washington. Then January 5th, you had the Making the Brand series on YouTube, and that's the video that we've been discussing with Jason Wright, Ron Rivera, Doug Williams, and many others. And then you had all kinds of leaks in there, and they basically went in that video and said it won't be anything with a bird, it won't be red wolves, it won't be a lot of things, but who knows? Then January 8th, a picture leaked from a Nike production facility, and the W logo there matched the one that was in the reflection behind Rivera in the mirror coming from the helmet that Jason Wright was showing him. And it also lists the name specifically as Washington Commanders. And then several days after the Making the Brand episode was released, some of the footage was provided to the team's media partner, NBC Sports Washington, and that's when there was an unblurred version of this picture that I'm showing you right now. And then following the reveal of the unblurred logo next to Jason Wright, not only did the W logo match previous leaks, but folks realized that the text version of the Commanders logo, as well as a circular patch logo, both matched the hints of what we saw in that Making the Brand video. And then shortly afterwards, a small platform called C-Hop Sports realized that they called a confirmed logo for the Commanders, providing a close-up look at a very similar circular logo from the unblurred video. And then what's really interesting from that C-Hop Sports leak is that the fonts are the same, especially like the C. The C in the C-Hops logo that they leaked exactly matches the C in the "We'll Fight for Our Community" text that was in the Making the Brand video. And then also there was this picture leaked from who knows where, man. I mean, you see the little circular inside patch that is apparently going out the back of the jersey, and then you see a little bit of Commanders on the front. So who knows if this is just a troll, and I don't know what that is. But honestly, at the end of the day, man, whatever the name ends up being, again, like I said, all that matters is franchise quarterback winning, and I really hope the jerseys are good. But at this point, man, if the name ends up not being Commanders, Jason Wright is a genius, and thank goodness. And before we get up out of here, Matthew Paris tweeted out that he got a text directly from Joe Theismann saying, quote, "Not completely sure what the new name. No one has told me. Like you, I'll find out Wednesday," unquote. So I don't know what's going on with that. After Joe Theismann just went on the radio and said all of that stuff about Commanders, and then to text a reporter that's very close to the Washington organization that he has no idea what the name is, then what was he talking about on that radio show? He's lying about something. He was either lying on that radio show or he's lying through that text because Washington hit him up and told him to text that out. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section and let me know what you feel like the name will be and what you want it to be, and also how you feel about the jerseys. Potentially, what do you want the jerseys to look like? Do you want a black alternate jersey just like I do? And as always, man, I appreciate all of the support, man. Shouts out to everybody that donates to the streams. Again, make sure y'all pull up to the name reveal stream and the Senior Bowl stream as well. And also, shouts out to all of my sponsors, especially my Pro Bowl sponsors, whose name you see scrolling on the screen right now. And if you like this video, if you learned anything, please leave a like on the way out. I appreciate y'all. I'll catch y'all later. I'm out.